package file done in Illustrator. It's all opened up in a net. I can see my die line, my artwork, the type, and the bits and pieces that I had to put on there. What I want to be able to do is take this file now and make a 3D kind of plausible mock-up to show my client what this will look like as a box folded up. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to turn off my die line because I don't want those pink lines to show up on my mock-up. And then I'm going to go save this as a PDF file without that information in it. Save as PDF right there. And yeah, I've already made one, so I'm going to replace that one. Save PDF. And what that'll do is open that up in Acrobat for me and say, that's what you've got now. Great. Now what I want to do is go back to Illustrator. Command Tab, by the way, does this. It lets you flip around in your programs. I'm going to make a little mock-up. So I'm going to grab a rectangle. My package is 6 by 3. So if I click Option, click there, and say rectangle 6 by 3, OK. I don't have a stroke on it. I do have it filled with white. That's what I want. Now I'm going to go to Effect, 3D Materials, Extrude and Bevel, and I want that to have a 1-inch depth. And then I also want to come back down here and say I'm going to make that isometric left, for example, or maybe I'll make it isometric top. So you can choose how this looks, where you are, and how it's set up. That's pretty good. I might give it just a little bit of perspective to make it look like it's kind of, getting smaller from us as it gets farther away. You can also play with things like lighting and decide how you want to, where do you want the lights to be, how intense you want the lights to be, all kinds of things like that. We can control a bit of this too in Photoshop. So now what I'm going to do, now that I've got my box built and I've got my PDF made, I'm going to copy this, select all, copy. The only thing, of course, that's on the copy on the clipboard is that. But when I go to Photoshop and say, I want a new document, Command N, it says your clipboard has something on it that's this big. Is that what you want to use? And I go, sure, I'd like to use that. And then I say paste. Let's go back to Illustrator, copy that, and then come back to Photoshop and paste. And it says, how do you want to paste that? And I go, pixels. That'll be lovely. Thank you so much. Okay, so now I've got that in my document. If you find yourself thinking, I'd kind of like my canvas size to be a little different than that, image, click, image, canvas size, I have to say yes, I accept what you have done. So canvas size, now I can say, well, I'd like the height to be maybe a little bit bigger than that, maybe 4 inches, something like that. So far okay. Now what I'm going to do is open, Command O, my P3 packaging final PDF. Open. And what I want to do, it says this, a one-page document here. How do you want to open that? Do you want to open that in color? I do. This size? It looks all fine, actually. Okay. So now I've got 2 files open in Photoshop, both of which came from Illustrator. This is my PDF of my package. There's my 3D box. Come back here to the package, use my rectangular marquee tool, that guy right there, and say, I'm just going to copy the front of this box like that. Select it, copy it, Command C, flip back to my other one, and Command V, paste that in. It makes a new layer in my layers menu right there. Command T will give me a chance to shrink that a bit so that it kind of fits a little bit better on that shape. And now for the fun part. I'm still in Command T, free transform right there. So now if I hold down the Command key or the Control key on a PC, I get to grab these corners and drag them around. So that's how you make it look like it's actually on that surface. Take some time to get this just so. Should be pretty good for you. Then what we're going to do is make that layer multiply. It will then pick up the shading of the box that's underneath it. So once you got the other 2 panels in there, you can bring the side and the front on there and put those in. The last thing I just want to point out is that now, because my layer 2 is effectively defining the lighting, the shading of this thing, I can grab layer 2 and go to Image Adjustments, Levels. And then as I move this around, I will brighten or darken the box itself. So you got a lot of control there. If I were to continue, I'm not going to bore you to tears, but I would put a background on this thing. I would put a little drop shadow on here on the ground, make it look like it's sitting on the floor, make this look a little more plausible. But I think that is enough to give you a pretty good idea of how to go about making your 3D mock-up. See ya!